we'll call the meeting of the regular meeting for the Armada Planning Commission for March 17th, 2025 at 7:01. All rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Kevin, can we have a roll call, please?
Let's switch things up. Patterson.
Here.
Grand, here. Lemieux.
Here.
Katajazic. Here. Shaw. Shaw.
Nope.
Okay.
He is unexcused. Not that I excuse it, I don't do Florida right now. I can't believe how cold it turned. Okay.
How long you live in Michigan? You can't believe this
I
is
know.
happening.
I know.
Back
Yeah,
yeah.
tomorrow will be in the 80s. Okay, so we have a copy of the agenda. Everybody got a chance to look over that, unless you have any questions, comments, or concerns. We're looking for an acceptance.
I motion to accept the Village of Armada Planning Commission agenda for March 17th, 2025 as presented.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, meeting minutes from the February 19th. She has copies of those. I think everybody gets the emails and everything from her anyway, right? So I should have gone over those already. Anybody find any mistakes, issues, questions? If not,
Motion to accept or as the Village of Armada. I'm sorry, I just totally lost track of my thought when I was doing that.
Just read it.
Yeah. Motion to approve the minutes from last meeting of February 19th, 2025 as presented.
I second it.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion
Sorry about
carries.
that.
You're good. Any public comment? Okay, silence from there. We are going to begin our master plan discussion. So Brian is here to get us started. Let's turn the meeting over to him.
Thank you for having me, and my colleague Alicia Warren is with us this evening. Both of us.
Do you know Patty?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
I don't know that
No,
we've officially
Patty
met.
Lemieux, yeah.
Very
She's
nice
our
to
newest
meet you.
member. This is Brian Kesey, our planner, and
Alicia Moore.
Alicia. Okay.
Nice to meet you both.
I knew it was close to my daughter. She's Alyssa.
Oh.
Sorry, Brian. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. So it's been a while, and as far as I can tell, nobody on the planning commission today was on the commission in 2012, correct?
In 2012.
Oh,
No, I think I came on in 13.
Okay, I didn't see any familiar names on the acknowledgement page, but yeah.
Yeah,
so,
no, none of us
so
were
we're
part
all-
of this.
Yeah, so we're all new here, so
Yes.
that's good. But I've got a little bit of a presentation to walk through, but stop me if you have any questions about the process. I'll start out with the master plan and why we're here, which is on your first page here. It's really intended to be your land use vision for the village, and so we're defining through this process what you have in terms of residential, commercial, and industrial uses today, and how you want them to evolve, how you envision them evolving over time. So it's our opportunity to put pen to paper on that evolution as the village progresses through time, and it's an opportunity to decide how we want development to impact things like the environment, our recreation, how we utilize our infrastructure, all of those sorts of things. A lot of times the planning commission and your village council can be kind of insulated from residents of the community that don't participate in active meetings and things
Very
like
true.
that. So the master plan is an opportunity for us to go out and seek public opinion and try to collect some input that we otherwise wouldn't get in the normal course of business. And then the last bullet point there is it's an opportunity to introduce new policy. And so if we want to take a more active role in environmental policy, sustainability, alternative housing types to attract people to the village. Those are all things that we can define here in policy. And then the next step would be, how do we turn that policy into tangible results in terms of investment into the community? So
Okay.
that's the big purpose. We're required by the State Planning Enabling Act to update this document, or at least look at it and review it and affirm that it is still our land use goal every 5 years. So we're a little bit out of date
Yeah, a little bit.
on this plan. We did look at it.
Yeah, I was here for that meeting when you came.
Yeah, and it was, we did that affirmation. Basically, we looked at it and said, you know, we're not too far off from where we needed to be. I believe we did a quick demographics update, if I'm remembering right. And not a lot had changed in that realm, but we've got a lot of things that have occurred on a national level and on a state level and international level with COVID too. Still has some rippling impacts in terms of land use and how we utilize our cities and villages in the state. So yeah, we're a little bit behind schedule, but now's the best time to get started.
Right.
So, I'm just gonna keep on going right through. You can stop me if you need to, but a master plan, like I said, it's their vision. We want to look as far into the future as we can. 10 to 20 years is the typical, although some communities try to envision a bit farther than that. That 10 to 20 range is really comfortable, right? You can still imagine your street and
Right.
downtown in that period of time. The way that we're going to go through this is a little bit more action oriented than the 2012 plan. So master plans have evolved. At one point in time, like when this one was last done in a substantial manner, we do have goals and objectives that are in this document. The thing that it is missing, or a lot of plans missed at that time, was, well, who the hell is going to do this? You know, we've got all these goals and policies, but like, are we going to assign any accountability to the planning commission or the village council or the library board or schools? What is our relationship with the township going to look like? So all those things, we can have a lot of goals and policies, but if we just put it in a document like this and don't actually give ourselves some check-ins along the way,
Right.
we're not setting ourselves up to make any real progress towards those goals. So
Okay.
that's going to be my big goal with this update. So you'll probably hear us again and again. Alicia will take some meetings. I'll take a few meetings, and you'll hear us say, okay, like, how are we going to actually implement? Like, what is our action step when we're talking about this particular item? So,
Okay.
okay. The relevant piece on page 4 there, I want to note that there was a recent change to the Planning Enabling Act in the state last year. The legislature passed an update to the Planning Act that requires us to take a more active role in defining housing policy. Okay, so we will have a specific section of the plan that talks about housing, diversity, the age and maintenance of our current housing stock, alternatives that we might find appropriate to encourage new housing that is affordable for people who live in the community, work in the community, engage in the community. So it's not just, the state as a whole is not looking at encouraging only one type of housing. They don't want to see all single family housing, they don't want to see all apartments, they don't want to see all townhomes, they want a whole mix of things, because those are the most successful communities across the board. So they want us to look at that. It's a requirement of the act now, so we'll go ahead and make sure that we talk about housing a bit more than we had in the past.
Okay.
Okay, throughout the process, really the planning commission is I'm counting on this group to be eyes and ears and encourage your neighbors and your friends and family members who live in the village and even within the township also who utilize the village for services to come and engage with us and talk to us and share opinions and things like that. We want you to be the eyes and ears of those who don't come to the active engagement things. So ultimately, the discussions that we have in this forum are going to be the directives that we take back and we write and turn into this document.
Okay.
So we will also be sharing things. We are required to have a demographics data update, so we'll bring that information back to you and we can ask questions, and if we're missing pieces that you think are interesting or appropriate to include, we're happy to do that. But it's my hope that we can have a lot of informal discussion about the topics that we need to here, and especially, you don't have a high volume of attendees at your meetings, right? So, so it's really going to be kind of this group and anybody else who decides to join us along the way
Okay.
in formulating that plan. In terms of statute, we will prepare a lot of the documents, but I hope that you guys edit us along the way, tell us what's working, what's not, what you agree with, what you don't. From a statute standpoint, once the plan gets along the way, gets moving, you are required to hold a public hearing. Actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. You're required to review the full draft of the document once we're done with it.
Okay.
When you're happy with it, as it's written, you'll make a recommendation to the village council to put the draft out for official public comment. So what that looks like is we're going to take a draft to the village council. We're going to say, village council, we're comfortable with the master plan. We need you to formally authorize us to distribute this to neighboring communities. And when they go ahead and make that resolution, then all of your neighboring communities get it. Any public utilities operating in the village limits and any railroads that are still active. So I don't know if
No.
Zero.
who owns the trail right of way now? Does the railroad still?
Macomb County.
The county does?
Yeah,
still?
county
Okay.
does.
All right. Then good. We're free of railroad
there we go.
notifications.
Okay.
I didn't know. In some instances, they retain the right of way and still let people use it for recreation. But
Yeah.
okay. So that's one thing out of the way. After they approve that resolution to go out to public comment, the state requires 63 days before you hold a public hearing. So we sit and wait during those 63 days to some degree. We can be making any minor tweaks and adjustments that we feel are necessary. If we still are getting our own public comments coming in, we can make minor changes. But ultimately, we're waiting for that period to come to a close. Then we will hold a public hearing, a formally noticed public hearing, so it'll go in the newspaper and on your website. And we require the state requires the planning commission to hold that hearing, consider any feedback that you get during that hearing, and then once you've closed that public hearing, you are officially able to adopt the master plan. Okay, so those are your roles and responsibilities in the process. The village council does play a role. We also want them to be participating and engaging with their neighbors, and ideally we get the village council and the planning commission talking to one another, whether it's in a joint meeting or whether it's informally, or it can just be written back and forth too. I mean, we can show the village council a draft of the plan at the same time you are considering drafts of the plan, so they can give us that feedback. But ultimately, then, from a statute standpoint, we need them to issue that authorization to go out to public comment.
Okay.
But once they issue that authorization, the responsibility for adopting the plan sits here in the planning commission, so it doesn't formally go back to the village council until you've adopted it. So we've kind of already gone over the steps to adoption. The one that I did not touch on is the very first one on page 10 there, which is the notice of intent to plan. So after we get out of this meeting, we will prepare the notice of intent to plan. So those same communities and utilities and railroads that I talked about, we actually have to send them a notice and say we are going to start looking at and reviewing our master plan. So be prepared for any public comment periods that come your way.
Okay.
Do you, my throat is getting sore, do you mind going through the next couple of pages?
Sure. You might have to, well, I can
Oh,
read it from here,
okay.
but you might have to,
To finish?
question it, yeah.
Okay, keep going.
Because I don't know these parts.
Okay.
But, so, I'm basically just gonna read through these slides here. Data analysis, regional context, what are the area-wide development patterns that you wanna see in the future? Natural features, what are the village's natural assets? Existing land use inventory, and how the village land use is being used today. The population and housing, who is living in Armada and what makes them unique. And then market studies, what type of businesses and industries are in the village, what types are missing. What would you like to see those gaps filled with?
On the topic of kind of housing, I was thinking about it on the way in. There's not a lot of communities that are in the state of Michigan that are this small, and it gives us an opportunity that maybe since we're required to look at housing anyways, gives us an opportunity to almost do like a block by block inventory, which a lot of communities can't do just based on size. But we could quite literally inventory the condition of homes, the type of homes, maybe approximate age of home, things like that. I know some of that is already, maybe age of home and that sort of thing is already in the assessing database, but inventory and maybe it can advise us on what's missing and, you know, help us define where locations are that some new types of housing could go or would be appropriate.
Throughout this process, we do public participation and community outreach. There's different forms that you can do, online surveys. You can push a little QR code through, I don't know if they do water bills or mailers on the website. People can participate that way. Fairs, festivals, you can have a booth at one of those if you have a yearly festival that you include the community in. Open to suggestions just to get that community outreach and what they suggest and different submissions from them that way.
So now's a good time to stop and ask you to give us your feedback on what you would like that engagement to look like. I do think that a survey is kind of low-hanging, easy fruit. You could have a QR code in Village Hall here or on the website or links, things like that. But are there, now's actually a good time to hit festivals and weekend events that are going on in the village.
How long do you think this review process is going to take?
About the fastest I've ever seen a master plan get adopted is 8 to 9 months, depending on meeting schedules.
So
We
that
have
puts
to
us
do
through
it
an
in
Armada
August.
fair, which would be the biggest probably thing we
What's
have.
the weekend on that? Or
Second weekend?
April, August, or
Middle
April,
of
August.
Yeah, second weekend, second Saturday.
Hold on.
They've got an event coming up in between, though.
What is?
The fair has another event coming up in between. I think June.
Yeah, they do other things, right?
Yeah,
Oh, they do something.
community,
in the
like
weekend.
not like a flea market, I guess, like. the-
Like a vintage sale,
Vintage
there's
market.
that, there's St. Baldrige, they rent that out all the time.
I don't hear other motor events going in there.
Yeah, and then there was that, that kinda got put on hold or put on, they were trying to do it bigger and then they brought it back in and said, no, that's
We
just.
have the concerts in the park too.
Mm-hmm,
Well,
that's true.
that'd probably be
That's
a really
good
good one.
Yeah,
Cause it's, a lot of people just walk
it's
in.
usually
Wow,
the middle.
community right there.
Yeah.
Well,
Middle week, so I think it's August 10th through 17th.
will there be the ability to set something up though?
At the park?
At the Music in the Park, yeah.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
you
yeah.
can.
I think that's, you don't even have to get a permit for that, do you?
No,
No, that's
Just
like,
need a card table.
just
pen
show
and
up,
paper,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, as long as we're there for questions, comments,
Somebody's
anything.
there, yeah.
And so that kind of thing are, you know, we've done in the past where we come with,
Mhm.
or we simply provide you some graphics that will
Yeah.
draw people, and you collectively talk to your neighbors and take that feedback.
Oh, you would like
I
it,
had
it's
enough money
it's
to be
a
out here
pleasant
until like 9
evening.
o'clock on the weekends though. Well, no,
Pleasant
Wednesday
music.
nights rather.
It's Wednesday. yeah.
Wednesday night.
I have
And-
nothing to do on a
Oh,
Wednesday.
there we
you
go.
go.
Okay. We've got some pretty good ones. Oh,
It's
it's
a-
a fuzz or something. There it is.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
okay,
I
so
don't know what that
concerts in the
was,
park
but-
are Wednesdays.
He's a fuzz.
But I think the fair starts
August 11th to the
August
17th.
11th through 17th.
Oh,
It's that.
That would be a bit farther down than we want to be.
Plus, that's a lot of out of towners, I mean, from, you know, it's the
Yeah.
concert.
There's a, yeah,
is a
yeah,
big one.
and the park is good, that's local people. The fair
Right.
is like everybody in the world, so.
Yeah.
Do we have any other events, you know, like downtown, like, I guess Memorial Day, like they do the parade or
Well, we've
don't
got-
and stuff?
Historical
Memorial
Society.
Day. Hmm?
Historical Society, you could do something like that.
You could, yeah. I'm not involved with them anymore.
Again,
Are you
that's
still
mostly just local.
Yeah, but I'm not following where you're going at with that suggestion.
You're
Well,
trying to get
any
information out to people.
Any
You're
kind
you're
of-
checking to see what the diversity is in the village, you're looking at the age of some of the sections of town. That's great information there.
Those are the kind of events that if we have a survey that just sits passively in the background, we can have a landing page that says, here's what the master plan is,
Right.
and here's 10 questions, just give us a few bits of feedback.
Well, the music in the park goes, does it go 6 weeks or 8 weeks?
First Wednesday in June through
Through
end of the
July.
fair.
That's 8 right there. That's 9 Wednesdays. Wow. And then into August, or is that done
No, it's
after?
done.
The week before the fair, there, isn't it? The week
Well, it's
before
like
the
2
fair.
weeks before the fair, actually now, that,
Okay.
but,
Because of
okay,
the Wednesday? Okay.
so that can flex, but just so you know,
Okay.
about when it is, if you wanna come out. It's really fun. It's like all different kinds of music. It's not every night. I mean, one night is a theme, you know, every night has its own. But,
Okay. That sounds good. Let's see what works in schedules, and we'll try to pick a date. And who would I coordinate that with? Is there a?
You can let Becky know and,
Just right.
and,
Okay.
yeah, she'll get a hold of me. And we'll make sure something gets set up and everybody's
I
on
want,
board with each other.
Okay.
probably want backup day too, cause it is weather permitting.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe we pick a couple.
well, last summer, it was pretty much every concert had somebody there promoting things, so,
Okay.
yeah. Political and
Yeah. say
that other
federal
thing
elections.
that Ross
The
had.
township was doing a survey, I thought, weren't they?
Well, but that was, that was,
Campaigning. A lot of that went on.
yeah,
I'm sure. Yeah.
so.
Okay. Well, that's good. And so you get young families, retirees across the
Mhm.
board.
Absolutely.
You have
Oh,
a full
oh,
demographic.
And
everybody.
I
Yes.
see kids on the place, other parents are watching, and, you know,
Nice. Okay.
grandparents, all that.
Can I should see which musical acts I want to pick.
And that
Well,
that when you contact, you
Yes.
can make sure you
Okay.
can
Let Becky
find
know you want,
And it
you
can
want
flip
a,
on
for the preference, yeah, because it's a wide range of,
make sure Becky knows you
musical.
want a list of the bands.
yeah.
When Mike gets back, he's the one who
Okay.
decides the bands.
Sounds good. We'll pick a good one.
Yeah,
That's
there,
exciting.
and there's, there, that's pretty good.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, you want to continue?
Yes.
Okay, so within the master plan, we have your goals and objectives, which is your coordinated vision for the village's future. The future land use plan, so that kind of matches your existing land use plan that's within the zoning ordinance and what you want to see those parcels of land in the future. And then your zoning plan, your zoning ordinance plan, that's kind of the vision for that as well.
The zoning plan is gonna be just a boring table, but it's gonna say, okay, these are your land use categories
Right.
that we
I
wanna
really
define.
disagree with you. It gets
It
fun
might
up there.
It's underappreciated, because this one little table is the kind of backbone when you get anybody who wants to rezone a property. Like, how are we going to tie a zoning class back to our future land use map?
Right.
And it's this table.
Uh-huh.
Can we explain that?
Okay, so then this last, the action plan slide that I've got here is how I want to tie some responsibility to individuals for our goals and objectives. So if we say something broad like, it's our goal to increase the quality of our signage throughout the village, right? So it's a big, broad blanket statement, but who's actually gonna do that? We're gonna need probably the zoning enforcement individuals, we're gonna need the planning commission to kind of decide, okay, what's appropriate, what's not. So we'll assign some responsibility towards making progress towards that goal. And then the other thing with the action plan that can come into play is if it's a measurable goal, like we aim to require a green energy component to every site plan that we approve as the planning commission in the coming year. So literally in that instance, maybe our goal is 50% of the projects we implement a green energy fixture feature to that site plan. Okay, well that's something we can go back and say, we saw 6 site plans this year, 2 of them had it, we were this close, you know, we'll get it next year, but at least then we have some things that we can document along the way.
Right, working towards it, okay.
And then the last page there is corny, but it is true, because I like to geek out about these things, but the idea that it's an opportunity for you to sit and reflect on kind of where you are or where you'd rather be. I think that's exciting. You can have a direct role in defining the policy that will change your community over time. So.
Okay.
And I would leave it at that. If you have any questions, you want to get more detailed, I'm happy to do that. But I was hoping to give you a broad overview. I like the ideas for public engagement. In the meantime, before we get there, we've got some background stuff to do. We'll go through and we'll inventory the goals and objectives out of your old plan.
Okay.
What has been accomplished, what's outdated, what is still valid, and maybe we need to just do some further refining of those goals and objectives. And then we'll also be working on the demographic data. So we'll pick not only the village, but we'll do surrounding communities too, so we have some comparison points on trends,
Okay.
and the county as a whole.
Okay. Anything you would like us to do in the meantime?
I think at this point, we need a couple things from you. I'd like to define a sample subset of questions that could go in the online survey and send those to you, let you talk about what, if those are appropriate, if
Okay.
you feel they're appropriate at this point in
And
time.
yes, how green do we want to go? I mean, I don't understand exactly what questions. I mean, do we want new housing? I mean, those are the kind of questions.
Yeah, so in some communities, it's as specific as, here are pictures of 8 different types of housing. Do you think we need more, less, or do we have the appropriate amount? And so that gives people an opportunity to say, okay, we've got enough single-family housing, or we need more single-family housing, or here's a picture of a townhouse. Do we want townhouses? Okay, you might have strong opinions against them and say we never want those here in the village at all. You know, we can get that detailed. I think probably appropriate for housing is something like that, maybe a visual preference kind of outlook. But we can do something similar for green infrastructure. Like, do we want to require solar panels over time on commercial projects and
Pulling the
industrial
asphalt out of
projects?
the park,
Yeah.
that was a stupid thing to do.
Oh, just because it gets so
25 years
hot?
ago. No, we had this tiny little park, and they put this in for, allegedly for an ice rink. 25, probably 30, close to 30 years ago.
Mm,
And it's always been a sore spot to me. That doesn't belong in there.
okay,
So, now we make it greener if we put grass back.
sure.
So now you want us to come up with the questions?
I'd
For
like to.
you.
I'd like to provide you a list of
That's what I thought you
questions
meant.
and
Yeah.
let you pick
Yes.
which ones
Yeah.
are appropriate.
Work best
And then
for
if we've missed something that you really feel
Okay.
should be added, I'll take those too.
Okay.
But yeah, we've got a whole subset of things we
Okay.
can send your way and
Good.
help
Mhm.
us
Mhm.
define what it is that are
Mhm.
hot button issues here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Questions, anybody?
Not at this time.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right,
We
thanks.
really appreciate you guys are gonna come out and help us go through this, cause we are all new as far as
Yeah,
master plan goes.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I do truly think it's exciting. That might just be me geeking out because that's my profession, but I do like the exercise.
Very proud of
and-
that, yeah.
Yeah. So, thanks.
Okay, yeah. Well,
Good.
since we're out of master plan, then I'm gonna ask an ordinance question.
Okay. Sounds good.
We've kind of come up with, well, we're working on coming up with a plan for, we want everyone in the village to have readable numbers
Oh, sure.
on their houses, and I don't,
Mhm.
as far as we've seen, we never did put that in the ordinance book. Is there something that we can do?
Or is that fire department, because I always thought it was fire
So the
department.
fire
But we
department,
have to put it into our
It's gotta
ordinance.
be in our stuff, but I still thought they had, like the police department.
I'm working with the
Separate
fire
from us,
department
too.
right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Joe's working with the police department. We're
Mhm.
going to be putting a letter together for the
Do
village,
that,
you know,
yeah.
with their signatures for the village.
Sure.
And we wanna see this implemented. This isn't
Mhm.
just something where we're saying, we'd like you to do this.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
This is something we wanna
It needs to
see
be something,
done.
Originally, when our house numbers came into play, Detroit Edison handed them out and issued what numbers you would have as far as your house number. And then about 10, 12 years ago, they said, now you guys do that. So,
yeah, see, I
seems like such a
remember that.
basic premise that, yeah,
A house
houses
number.
numbers, you
Yeah.
know.
But there are houses and buildings here in the village that are not numbered. And our thought process was that for an emergency situation,
Sure,
you know, cause like,
sure.
not that this is an emergency, but there was a package to be delivered to an address in Armada on Fulton Street, nowhere's near my numbers.
Okay,
They brought it to me twice.
Hmm.
So finally I thought, you know what, I'm gonna GPS, cause I don't know this number at all. I could not figure out where this building
Yeah.
would be. So I GPSed it. It said my house. It was the physical therapy building.
oh,
But should there be someone new running in an ambulance and they think, okay, we'll just GPS get to this
Yeah.
person and get them to the hospital.
yeah.
And they GPS to the wrong
But
house.
all houses have a number, they just don't post them.
it's
Correct.
issued.
Because when you buy a house, there's a number on
Yes.
that property, right? I mean, that's, if I remember correctly, but it was a long time ago.
Right, but
But
not all buildings have the numbers on the
posted,
house.
right, or I get, yeah, I understand, I was like, how do they get their mail?
You know,
What
you
do
get,
they-
yeah, you know, you get a new mailbox. and,
Yeah, yeah.
I'll go next
Oh,
week
they
and
know
get those
me.
numbers, you know,
They
yeah,
know.
or they know
They
me,
know where to
right,
put that.
right,
Yeah.
so we wanna make sure that there's something there.
The fire, I know
police
the
and fire.
fire department did it several years ago and wanted you to put them on your post, your mailbox post, because at
And
first you
there'll
didn't
be
have to have
something in the
mailbox,
letter.
but,
I've already talked to the chief, in
Mhm.
the fire department.
yeah.
There'll be something added in the letter. He did tell me that if you contact the fire department, there's some paperwork to be filled out. They do still have those, I believe he said the they're not fluorescent, but they like
Yeah.
glow
Oh, the
numbers.
Yeah.
reflective.
Yeah,
Reflective.
yeah.
Glow in the
You
dark.
can still
Yeah,
get
reflective.
those,
Yeah,
but you have to go to the fire department. So we'll have something in the letter that states you are capable or able to do that. You
Uh-huh.
can do it.
Yeah.
You know, or
Yeah.
purchase your own. They're not
Yeah.
expensive.
no, and
Pretty
then,
much any good hardware store has them.
I'm sure Rick
Mhm.
yours does.
Yeah. And the,
It wasn't
one of
a
the things that they
knock, I
wanted
think
to know
But I mean, I'm sure they do. So.
was that, like, my house, when I first got into my house, my door faces west,
sideways.
sideways, and my house number was down the side of it. So if somebody's coming looking for you and they're coming from east to west,
You don't
then I
even
can
see
see
there's
the
a door
house
there.
number.
Mhm.
Well, you don't
So
even
I
see there's a
moved my
door
door
there.
Yeah,
To the
yeah.
flat front part.
So yeah, I guess that's my question for you, is there something that, you know, how do we add something that we're saying this is going to be the rule from now on?
So we do have, we allow nameplates up to 2 square feet, which is where I often see address numbers applied.
Of course, we come up with it after this is printed.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we have it where this is what you can have, this is what you can't have. We're saying this will
Will
be
have,
on.
yeah, and this, your ordinance is written in a way that it's not intended to dictate design-related things to residential, so that's sprinkled throughout. We can make that, we can amend that, it's not a
Okay.
problem. I also think that technically, under the police power, the police department could order that addresses be posted on all occupied buildings.
I mean, you see something happening in a house, or, you know, how you report it. I just, you know, see someone bash through this door, or what's the address in the house? Well, I don't know. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a bunch of safety issues that you could come up with.
Well, here we're all used to saying, you know, oh, I'm just up the road from, you know, Johnson's place,
Yeah.
so, you know.
Right. So that would be my, I think my first, like, to make it happen quickly, I would recommend that the police issue a police order that all occupied businesses
I can do that.
and
Okay.
residences are
Joe is
required
our
to post
our
an
police
address
commissioner
number.
for the
She's-
village,
yeah.
so.
Okay. So
What page is that on that you're reading?
the nameplate,
Mhm.
nameplate is in section 1303B.
Okay, I'll review it.
So it allows a non-illuminated nameplate mounted flat against the wall of the building.
I guess that's the other thing we need to verify with,
13.3.
fire department chief, chief of police.
Mm-hmm.
Do they really want them on the houses? Do they want them on the mailboxes?
Not everybody has a mailbox.
That's true,
I
so
don't
it does
know.
have to be on
Yeah,
houses, that's,
we
yeah.
didn't have them when we
I'm
were
sure
here
you
4
said I
years
just
ago,
have
you
one,
didn't.
so-
Right,
It was, your house was it.
and even the streets that did have them could only have them on one side of the road,
Yeah,
so,
I have a mailbox, but I do have an address.
Right,
yeah.
Yeah,
but like Joe was saying, we have to be careful how we do this, because there are houses, they want it to be completely visible. When the ambulance is going down the road, they wanna be able to go,
To
okay,
face
there's
the
that one, there's
street,
that one,
yeah.
there's that one.
mhm,
So we have to be careful how it's worded so that they understand, because if she were to just put one at her door, you don't see it, you
Sure.
never know if it's
face
there.
it, face it to the street,
Mhm.
yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Okay, so that can certainly be incorporated into the sign section of the zoning ordinance, but I think it can be accomplished outside of the zoning ordinance also.
Okay,
Okay, yeah,
well, we'll start there.
yeah.
So, do you want to hold off on the address notice letter? Or do you wanna wait and see what chief says as far as a police order on it?
I guess we should get to chief first, see what, you know, what he's got to say about it, you know,
I'll talk to
and,
him in the morning.
If he doesn't feel comfortable with issuing it until it's codified in an ordinance, then we have that direction.
Okay,
Realistically, so we'd have an amendment in front of you that we could notice by your next meeting.
I personally prefer it to be in the book. We've had too many incidences
Yeah.
around here where
Yeah.
people
Show
say,
me.
well, he said I didn't have to.
Yeah.
We said you did, yeah, but he gave the okay.
Mhm.
I would rather it be right there in writing and we say, there it is.
This is where it is.
You know, from now on, when we get
Yeah.
applications and we're going through the approval process, we need to mention that, don't forget, you need to have a visible address.
Mhm.
So,
That could be a little notation that we put on,
yeah, on the
building
application
permits and
thing.
stuff, yeah.
Mhm,
Mhm.
yeah.
Well, when you said about signage, like a thing, you know, to see what people wanted about signage. Now, we've had a big deal about parking signage and stuff. What, is that something that we have in the ordinance book, or that we have to have that posted, or what is it, you know, when you said that we could do, like, get on board with signage or something, street signs or whatever? You said something about signs, maybe that's not, maybe I heard different than what you
We
actually
could
said.
put an amendment in the signage.
But are we covered with that? There's still, you know of this little side committee for parkings in town? For the municipal parking? Somebody again comes to the village council meeting and they had a committee that they formed and they agreed to, Chief was on it too, and Steve, and these people wanted the verbiage of these signs in their verbiage. I'm like, municipal parking, what else do you want it to say? And it's red. And someone came the other night and said, can you cross off municipal and put public parking? And I'm like, what is it you don't understand about municipal? That's the city, that's
It gets confused with government buildings, courthouses, administrative
Not in-
buildings.
not here. Everything's posted where, you know, that what it is. There's no
The signage was meant for people that were visiting from out of town.
municipal parking means different things in different towns.
Yes.
Municipal parking is public parking. Municipal.
For what purpose?
City parking. Anybody coming to town and wanting to park,
Initially, what
you can
the
park
big
there.
argument was when we first started looking into municipal parking, was people were complaining they can't get to stores, we can't, you know, there's no parking to go shopping here or there, and the businesses were
Yeah.
mad because you're limiting their flow in and out of their stores, so they wanted,
And yet they would go down to the mall and park a quarter mile away from the store, and then they'd go to the mall.
yeah.
I'm like, you can't go any further than a block away. It's like you can walk there. But municipal parking is public parking. It's
Not
city
Which is
people
parking.
owned
that
by the
are outside of
village.
our community, that's where the confusion lies.
That's what?
What do you mean
If
outside?
if you are visiting from outside of our community, that's where the confusion lies.
Oh, confusion.
But
Because
people
if you
live
go
in
to other-
cities,
Last word
other
was-
places. Municipal means the
Government.
government. The government.
Yeah,
Cities,
It's
that's,
public, that means public.
that's the whole point they're trying to make.
Municipal means public.
If I were to take you into downtown Detroit, you see a lot of the signage for a lot of the parking, it will specifically state, especially on the CA Young building, you're gonna have municipal this, municipal that, municipal these things.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't say public parking.
Okay, I don't have a way to look up to make sure the wordage is right, but municipal means public. Doesn't
I
it?
think we'll agree to disagree at this point, move on.
In
I
this
think
little
I would
village,
see
it's always
that.
meant that.
I think I would see that and think municipal employees, honestly.
I would too.
We only
I wouldn't
have
think.
the few that park here.
Excuse
They
me?
would-
I would not think.
We have
Yeah,
parking
but
around
that's what I
town.
would think.
I would
It was
think
reserved
municipal,
for
like, employees.
work trucks or
Yeah.
whatever.
You got a court date.
But maybe that's just,
Yeah. We can always work on that another time,
Mhm.
so.
Well, I was getting that in with signage and stuff and addresses and things, but, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so anybody got anything else for Brian for the master plan, or we all know what we're looking forward to, right?
Sure.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so then we're gonna move forward. We are in reports. We have a note here from Becky. It says, during the reports, there's an FYI that says, DBA paying agent fee was paid on March 10th of 2025. and that amount was $825. So that was taken care of. Kevin, next meeting, April
21st.
21st. And Brian, you
I knew you were gonna ask that question.
There you for that meeting.
Yeah, one of us can attend, especially if we're doing a public hearing on the signage update for sure.
Okay.
We we may or may not have a master plan update at that meeting.
Okay.
We may before we have a more substantial update for you.
Maybe just an idea on some of those questions you want for us?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that'd be great.
Okay.
Okay, anybody got anything else? I have nothing else for reports.
No.
Okay, there's one more thing to do.
Motion to end the Village of Armada Planning Commission regular meeting March 17th, 2025 at 7:46.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Adjourned.